Welcome back. I am Erica, and this is Go Go Gospels. So today's Bible trivia question is, the first bird that Noah released from the ark was A, a raven, B, a quail, C, a dove, or D, a sparrow? After the rain started and the flood waters rose, it would be a full year before Noah and his family would stand again on dry land. 40 days into the flood, Noah hoped for signs of land, so he sent out a raven. I was right. It must have been disheartening to see the raven fly back and forth without success. Noah later sent out a dove to see if the waters had receded. This bird couldn't find anywhere to perch either. Eventually, after many more attempts over many more days, the dove was able to bring back an olive leaf, indicating that the flood had receded and vegetation was growing once more. The story of these scout birds reveals the inner struggle of faithfulness. It was by no means an easy task to build the ark, to board a remnant of animals and humans inside of it, which as far as I know, the humans were all his family, so I don't know how stressful that was. Or maybe, I guess. To weather the storms and to wait months before beginning again on land. Yet, Noah practiced a resilience of faith that refused to quit on the promises of God. As a result, he was credited with righteousness, and humanity was saved. The quote from the Bible is from Genesis chapter 8, verses 6 and 7. After 40 days, Noah opened a window he had made in the ark and sent out a raven, and it kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth. Okay, so let's go to the King James Version Bible quote. Genesis chapter 8. A raven and a dove sent forth. Verse 6. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. I like how they specify that. And he sent forth a raven, which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth. Also, he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot. Do birds have soles on their feet? Okay, I learned something. And she returned unto him into the ark, where the waters were on the face of the whole earth. Then he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her in unto him into the ark. And he stayed yet other 7 days, just to be sure. And again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came in to him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So no one knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. And he stayed yet other 7 days, and sent forth the dove, which returned not again unto him any more. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, it's May 1st, I see where we're going here, the waters were dried up from off the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark. Didn't say he opened the door, so that he removed the covering. That sounds like a task in itself. And looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. And in the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, was the earth dried. So I have personally never been in a flood per se. But I know that after it rains, even a good drizzle. The ground is, well, wherever there's dirt, there's a little mud. So I try to envision myself in that scenario, because just reading it as it is, it kind of leads one to think he's on the ark, it's wet or still flooded, sends the birdies out back and forth, and then finally feels confident enough to get off the ark. And I would imagine that, yes, the floodwaters had receded, but that there was a huge, huge muddy mess left over for him and his family to figure out how to start rebuilding humanity. Remember, this is just Noah and his family, meaning his sons and their wives, and Noah's wife. You've been closed off from the world, essentially, for more than 40 days, because even though the birds come back, he's still not sure if he wants to get off. And even if it's over a year, sure, the earth is dry and somewhat easier to navigate than walking into because where did it drop them off? I don't know if that was discussed when he was building the ark or when he was getting the plans from God. I think it was more just like, you're not going to die in this flood. And I don't know what kind of person Noah was while he was just a regular person prior to building the ark and getting this calling from God, but I'm assuming he had friends who weren't related to him or weren't blood, or, you know what I mean? They weren't his immediate family. If one has any heart, it must have been somewhat traumatic to first go through this whole earthly disaster, which was a complete reset for the world, and maybe a little survivor's guilt, maybe not. Maybe everybody around him were jerks, maybe they weren't. But I feel like there's a lot more emotional weight on at least Noah, and probably whoever survived with him, that they go through once they get off the ark. And then you are left with this task of populating the earth again, which, okay, maybe that's not such a bad thing, but it's not like you could just mosey on into a Sheraton, a Hilton, you know what I mean? We're looking at muddy landscapes and probably no healthy vegetation. And if so, it's probably not things you can eat and survive off of. So there's a lot that needs to be processed mentally and emotionally and faithfully, because of course you are grateful to God that he got you through this whole disaster and you were the one to survive. But the circumstances that you're surrounded in right now maybe aren't the ideal situation. So there is obviously more to the story, which I didn't know when I was growing up, youngster in elementary school, in Catholic school. Everybody learns about God's upset. He tells Noah, hey, you and your fam and 2 of each animal, build this ark, get on the ark, and I'll save you from the floods, which is all fine and dandy. And yes, thank you, Lord. I appreciate it. But what is the aftermath? And we never really discussed that, at least in my school. So when I come back, we're going to dive into that a little bit more, because I think it's important, and I think it's worth noting, especially when we think about how these characters in the Bible are relatable and why the kind of person that gets chosen by God, to to fulfill these missions. It appears to me that for the most part, the people he picks to fulfill these missions aren't necessarily thinking, oh, I knew it would be me. It's more like, why me? You know? So yeah, I think that is worth diving into, and we will get into that at my next Go Gospel episode. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please, as always, feel free to add your comments, critiques, whatever it may be. I'm always interested to read what you have to say. And please come back for the next episode. Be safe and be well.